On April 26, 2003, Aron Ralston made a decision that nearly killed him. Not the decision to go hiking, not the decision to go alone, the decision to tell nobody where he was going. No note, no message, no emergency contact. Just a 27-year-old man who had climbed all 59 of Colorado's 14,000-foot peaks, mostly alone, mostly in winter, driving to a canyon in Utah with the quiet confidence of someone who had done hard things many times without anything going seriously wrong. That confidence was about to meet a 65-pound boulder in a slot canyon, so narrow you could touch both walls simultaneously. The boulder was not impressed. It shifted. 1 second, Ralston was moving through the canyon. The next second, his right hand was pinned between 65 pounds of sandstone and the canyon wall. He pulled. Nothing. He pushed. Nothing. He tried everything a mechanical engineer with years of outdoor survival experience could devise. The boulder did not move. Not once. Not even slightly. And in that moment, standing in a canyon nobody knew he was in, with no way to call for help and enough water for approximately 1 day, Aron Ralston understood something that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. That there are moments in life when the only way out is through something you cannot imagine surviving. This is the story of what he did in that moment, and what he became because of it. Number 1, the man before the boulder. To understand what the canyon did to Aron Ralston, you first need to understand who he was before it. He grew up in Colorado, smart, athletic, drawn to hard things because easy things bored him. He studied mechanical engineering at Carnegie Mellon, graduated with honors, and took a stable job at Intel. 3 years in, he quit. He hadn't come to Colorado to sit in an office. He'd come to climb mountains. So he left the corporate track, worked in a mountaineering shop in Aspen, and climbed all 59 of Colorado's 14,000-foot peaks, mostly alone, often in winter, in conditions seasoned mountaineers would avoid. He was deliberately building a resume of hardship. He was also building a dangerous habit. He stopped telling people where he was going, not from carelessness, but from the quiet arrogance competence breeds. He'd done hard things alone so many times that catastrophe had started to feel theoretical. That changed on April 26, 2003. Number 2, 127 hours. 127 hours is 5 days and 7 hours. 5 days unable to move his hand, wedged in a space barely wider than his shoulders, watching his water disappear, knowing no one knew where he was. Day 1, his engineering brain took over. He tried moving the boulder, chipping at it, rigging a pulley from his climbing rope. Nothing worked. The rock was lodged too perfectly. Day 2, his 1 liter of water was nearly gone, and he rationed it with the precision of someone who knew exactly what dehydration would do to his judgment. Day 3 brought the psychological wall, the point where a dehydrated, exhausted brain stops solving problems and starts accepting reality. His hand had gone black. Nobody was coming. He carved his name, birth date, and what he believed would be his death date into the canyon wall, not giving up, accepting. Day 4 brought a vision, a small boy running toward him across a sunlit floor. A son he didn't yet have but somehow knew was his. It lasted seconds, but it changed the question he was asking. Before, can I survive this? With the boulder as the variable. After, what am I willing to do to survive this? With himself as the variable. Those are different universes. Number 3, the decision. On day 5, Thursday, May 1, 2003, Ralston decided to amputate his own arm with a cheap, dull multi-tool that hadn't even scratched the boulder in 5 days of trying. He broke his own radius and ulna by torquing his arm against the rock until both bones snapped. Then he cut through muscle, through a tourniquet fashioned from his hydration tube through nerve. At 11:32 a.m. he pulled free. He didn't rest. He rigged his rope, rappelled 65 feet down a cliff face one arm, then hiked 8 miles out of the canyon, having lost significant blood and gone 5 days without food or water. A Dutch family found him, gave him food and water, and raised the alarm. He was airlifted out. He survived. Number 4, never looked back. 6 weeks later, Ralston climbed a 14,000-foot mountain with a prosthetic arm he was still learning to use. Not because he had to, because stillness felt more dangerous to him than the mountain did. He never retreated from the wilderness. He finished the remaining Colorado peaks he'd set out to climb. He became a sought-after speaker, not for generic inspiration but as living proof of what people are capable of enduring. He wrote a book, and he had the son from his vision, whom he named Leo. In every interview since, across 20 years, Ralston has said the same thing. He doesn't regret it. Not the boulder, not the 5 days, not the arm. He said the canyon gave him more than it took, that the man who walked in on April 26 was incomplete in ways he couldn't yet see, and the man who walked out wasn't. Number 5, what the canyon actually teaches. 4 lessons, not about the arm or the boulder, but about what actually saved him. Lesson 1, tell someone where you are going. Isolation isn't strength, it's risk. People who know where you are can find you when things go wrong. Lesson 2, acceptance is the beginning of survival, not the end of it. Carving his death date into the wall wasn't surrender, it was clarity. You can't navigate around a problem you won't acknowledge. Lesson 3, the question you ask determines the answer you find. Can this be fixed leaves the boulder as the variable and yields no answers. What am I willing to do puts you in control, and that shift changes everything. Lesson 4, never looking back is a choice, not a feeling. Ralston didn't stop grieving because the grief vanished. He stopped looking back because he decided to, and kept deciding it, every morning after. On April 26, 2003, a man walked into a Utah canyon alone. 5 days and 7 hours later, he walked out missing an arm, and carrying a clarity about his life that most people never find in a meditation retreat or a book, but in 127 hours of darkness, holding on to nothing but the vision of a boy he hadn't met yet, and the refusal to let that boy grow up without a father. The canyon took his arm. It gave him Leo. And Aron Ralston will tell you without a flicker of regret that it was the best trade he ever made. That's what never looking back really means, not the absence of loss, but the presence of something worth moving toward. Subscribe to Untold Archive. Every Tuesday and Friday, we find the people who went into the dark and came out with something the rest of us need to hear.